The room was cold, too cold for a place without air conditioning. Stella's hands trembled as she reached for the foundation brush, but it wasn't the temperature that made her shake. It was the body lying before her, still, pale, silent. A woman once powerful, now waiting to be beautified for burial. The moment the brush touched the dead woman's cheek, Stella felt it. A sudden chill ran up her spine. A whisper, too faint to be heard but loud enough to unsettle her soul. The fluorescent lights above flickered. Stella paused. Her heart raced as she blinked, and then she saw it. As if her eyes had just cleared to see the unseen. Black smoke began to seep slowly from the woman's mouth. Stella screamed. Stella had always believed that when she finished university, life would somehow align. 4 years of studying mass communication at the University of Lagos should count for something, right? Oh yeah, now. It had been 8 months since NYSC ended. No job, no offer, not even a call back from the countless applications she had submitted to media houses, banks, and schools. Every morning she would check her email and refresh job sites, and every evening she would sigh and cross one more day off her wall calendar. Her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Okonkwo, were retired civil servants, good people, but their pension barely covered feeding. Stella's younger siblings looked up to her, but even they had stopped asking when she would get a job. One hot Thursday afternoon, after doing her makeup, she stood in front of her mirror admiring herself when an idea came to her mind. I for just go learn makeup. She had always loved makeup. Back in school, people called her Blend Queen. She knew how to make a 500 naira powder look like 50,000 naira face beads. After some days of deliberation, she told her parents. They didn't argue. They just looked at each other in that way parents do when they have silently agreed to try again for their child. They raised some money. Her father sold a set of old furniture in the store, and her mother used her contribution savings. And just like that, Stella registered at Linda Makeovers, a reputable makeup studio in Lagos that trained only 10 students every 3 months. Linda Makeovers was like the Harvard of makeup. White tiled floors, long vanity mirrors, big ring lights, and shelves of international makeup brands she had only seen on Instagram. Her instructor, popularly known as Madame Duwell, was a loud, curvy woman with dramatic lashes that looked like car wipers. She wore tight gowns, red lipstick that could blind her enemies, and a permanent look of I am doing you a favor by breathing near you. But Stella didn't mind. She was always the first to arrive, last to leave, and cleaned the brushes after classes ended. If Madame Duwell asked her to blend foundation on 10 people's faces in 1 hour, she did it in 30 minutes. She never complained. 3 months later, she graduated with glowing recommendations, but life outside the studio was an entirely different story. She started working from home. She put herself on Instagram, WhatsApp, even printed flyers. Some months, she would stay for 3 weeks without a single booking. When someone finally called, they would bargain her price down like they were buying onions. Sometimes, she would get 10,000 naira for regular makeup. On a lucky day, bridal makeup brought in 20,000 naira. But before the next job came, she would have already used the money to buy food, transport, data, and sometimes even send something small to her parents. It was frustrating. One evening, after going a whole month without a single booking, she couldn't take it anymore. She wore her best gown, powdered her tired face, and went straight to Linda Makeovers. Madame Duwell was seated behind her large mirror, sipping wine from a fancy glass as if she were in some French movie. Her lashes were longer than ever, and her hair looked like it had its own power supply. Madame, I beg, Stella began, kneeling beside her. I use God take beg you. Come give me job. Even if not to follow you as apprentice go do wedding jobs, I go manage. Madame Duwell didn't even blink. She took a long sip before looking up at Stella. You sure say you want to make up? She asked, voice low but strangely serious. Haba, madam, if I no want, I no go come meet you, Stella answered, blinking back tears. Madame Duwell stared at her again, then slowly nodded. Okay, go house. I go call you. Stella stood up slowly, bowed in gratitude, and left. She didn't know that the call she was waiting for would change her life forever. Stella was lying on her bed that evening, staring at the ceiling and thinking about how to survive the new week with only 700 naira in her account. The room was hot. The fan had stopped working again. Her small gas cylinder was empty. No food. Just one cup of dry forgotten garri in the kitchen. Then her phone rang. Madam Duwell. She sat up quickly and picked it. Hello ma. Stella. You fit go Gabi Street tomorrow morning. Person dey wey need makeup for one occasion. Them say they go pay you well. Stella's stomach growled as if it overheard the word pay. Okay ma. What time? Just go there around 7. Ask for Madam Nene when you reach there. Stella's heart fluttered a little. Please ma, what kind of occasion is it? You go see her when you reach there. Not small job. Then the line went dead. The next morning, Stella woke up before 6 a.m. She didn't bother eating. Not like she had anything anyway. She rinsed her mouth, threw on a gown, packed her kit, and left the house on an empty stomach. Lagos was already alive, hawkers yelling, buses honking, and dust rising with the morning air. She hopped on a bike and headed straight to Igabi Street. By 7:30, she had reached. The house was big, painted white with a black gate and flower pots at the entrance. She knocked on the gate, but instead of a security man, a plump woman in a black gown opened the gate. Are you Stella? Yes ma, I am Madam Nene. Madam Duwell told me you would come. Come inside. And they walked through the compound. Stella began to feel uneasy. The house was eerily silent. No music, no sense of a party, no balloons. She frowned. Ma, what kind of makeup should I prepare for? Madam Nene didn't look at her. You'll see it. They entered a cold corridor. Stella noticed the overpowering scent of air freshener and antiseptic. Fear gripped her, but she said nothing. They reached the door marked room 7. Madam Nene stopped and opened it slowly. Inside, lying on a silver table, was a woman, dressed in a white lace gown, eyes closed, skin pale, dead. Jesus! Stella said as she stepped back instantly. No, nah. Madam Nene caught in firmly. Today na her burial. I won't make she fine for the final journey. Stella blinked first. Her hands were trembling. She looked back at the long hallway. She could still turn around and go home, as she hadn't touched the body yet. But then her mind wandered back to her room. No gas, no food, no money. Her parents calling her with hope in their voices. She looked at the woman on the table again. It's just makeup now, no stress. The client won't blink, won't complain or even sneeze. And the pay, 100,000 naira. That could restock her kitchen, refill her gas, and still leave change. With a heavy sigh, Stella nodded. I'll do it. Good, Madam Nene said, handing her gloves, a hairnet, and a brown file. Her name is Mrs. Odunei. Na senator wife she be you. Just do her well. Stella unpacked her brushes slowly, heart pounding as she looked at the lifeless face on the table. She started with the foundation, whispering a shaky prayer under her breath. The woman's skin was ice cold, and the sponge felt heavier than usual. When she got to the eyeliner, her hand paused. The dead woman's lips twitched. Stella blinked and looked again. Nothing. I'm just hungry, that's all. Then the light above her flickered. Stella gasped, looked up, and it came back on. Silence. Then a third. Stella turned sharply. Her powder brush had fallen. Or was that something else? She quickly picked it up. But when she stood up, the woman's head had shifted slightly. Stella didn't scream. She just grabbed her kit, mumbled, "I'm done," and bolted out of the room. Outside, Madam Nene barely reacted. You finished? Stella nodded quickly. Yes, ma. Then go transfer your money tomorrow. By the time Stella got home, she couldn't sleep. She kept hearing the flicker, the thud, the imagined whisper of thank you from lips that should not move. And by morning, the payment came. 100,000 naira, just like that. No thank you, no message, just the quiet buzz of her phone and the sudden calm that followed. Stella stared at the alert like it was a dream. She hadn't seen that kind of money enter her account at once since she graduated. Without wasting time, She dressed up and rushed to the market. She bought foodstuff, then branched a small gas shop to refill her cylinder. On her way back, she bought herself a chilled bottle of malt and 2 meat pies. It felt like luxury. That night, she ate like someone who had just been resurrected. By morning, her stomach was full, but her conscience was not. She tried not to think about the lifeless face of Mrs. Oduneyi or the way the light had flickered. She told herself it was a job, just a job, and she had done it well. Later that afternoon, while lounging on her bed, her phone buzzed with a notification. It was from Facebook. She opened it. It was a message from someone named Tosin Williams, a wedding planner. The message was brief. "Hi Stella, got your contact from a friend. My bride needs a makeup artist this Saturday. Hope you're available." Stella's heart skipped a beat. A bridal job? That was usually 20,000 naira. Sometimes 25,000 naira if the client had sense. She quickly responded and confirmed. They exchanged details and the location was sent. The bride's name, Jumoke Ayola. By Saturday morning, Stella was at the bride's hotel room by 6:30 a.m. sharp. The room smelled of fresh flowers and perfume. Jumoke was stunning, her skin glowing even before the brush touched her face. Her smile was warm, her energy bright. She laughed often, even teased Stella about her concentration. It was one of the smoothest jobs Stella had done in months. The wedding planner transferred 20,000 naira on the spot. Jumoke thanked Stella and said, "You have magic hands." Stella smiled shyly, packed her kit and left. It was Monday morning. The sky was dull and rain tapped slightly on the window when Stella's phone buzzed. A message popped up in her bridal WhatsApp group chat. "Rest in peace, Jumoke Ayola." Stella froze, confused. She clicked the message. More followed, sad emojis, "gone too soon," and short prayer texts. Her hands trembled as she typed. What happened? A response came almost immediately. She slumped yesterday night in her hotel room. They said she was found unresponsive. She died before they got to the hospital. But that wasn't the full story. What they didn't know was that after the reception, Jumoke had returned to her hotel suite alone. She stood before the mirror, still in her wedding gown, admiring herself. Then the air changed. The mirror rippled like water and a dark smoky swirl began to twist around the mirror. Jumoke stepped back, confused. Before she could take another step, something invisible lunged from the mirror, silent and swift. It latched onto her and began pulling her essence, her soul draining through her eyes. Jumoke's smile faded. Her body stiffened. She tried to scream, but no sound came. Then she collapsed. By the time they found her, her skin looked pale, dry, hollow, like the life had been sucked out of her. And back in her makeup bag, Stella's blending sponge dripped a single drop of cold, dark liquid. Few days later, another client reached out, a woman named Ijoma, preparing for her 40th birthday photo shoot. Stella forced a smile and accepted the job. Ijoma was vibrant, confident, full of laughter. She worked as a TV presenter and was known for her bold style. "Make me look 20 again, Jari," she had joked as Stella did her makeup. The session ended well and Ijoma left glowing with satisfaction. 2 days later, just after closing from work at the TV station, Ijoma walked to her car parked in the staff lot, humming to herself. She opened the door, got in, and shut it behind her. That was when it started. A strange grey smoke began to leak from the air vents. It wasn't thick at first, but it grew fast. Within seconds, the entire car was filled with it. Ijoma's smile disappeared. She coughed, tried to open the door, but it wouldn't budge. She opened her mouth to scream. Nothing came out. Her voice was gone. The smoke began to twist around her face like a living thing. Her eyes rolled. Her skin started to sag. Whatever was in that smoke was pulling something from her, something deeper than breath, her essence. By the time her colleagues found her 20 minutes later, Ijoma's body was slumped over the steering wheel, lifeless. Her face looked older, drained, like something had sucked the youth out of her. And back in Stella's kit, her lipstick tube cracked quietly, oozing a deep black liquid. When news of Ijoma's death reached Stella, she froze. Another one? Another client? Fear clutched her chest. What is happening? Why are people I know just dying one after the other? She didn't eat that day. She barely spoke to anyone. Her parents called endlessly, but she ignored it. She sat in the corner of her room staring at her makeup box like it might open its mouth and confess something. Days passed. Eventually, she convinced herself it was just coincidence. She was overthinking. These things happen. People die all the time and she had bills to pay. She needed to move on. So when her friend Lola called one bright Thursday morning, Stella forced herself to sound normal. "Babe, my pre-wedding shoot is next Saturday." Lola said with excitement. "And I want you to do my makeup." No argument, just say yes. Lola and Stella had been friends since secondary school. There was no way she could say no. Stella smiled. "Of course now, I'll do it for free, self. Consider it my wedding gift to you." The day came. The shoot was at a beautiful garden in Lekki. Stella arrived early, her kits freshly cleaned, her brushes arranged like soldiers. She pushed aside the anxiety that had been building in her chest and did Lola's makeup. Lola was glowing. Wow. Her fiancé, Tolu, kept sneaking kisses between takes. Stella did her best work that day. Soft brows, glossy lips, flawless highlights. Lola loved it. She couldn't stop thanking her friend for a job well done. After the shoot, Lola brought out a small envelope. "Take, I know you said no, but please just manage this." Stella shook her head and smiled. "I beg, keep am. This one is from me to you. You look like a queen already." That was the last time Stella saw her friend alive. Tolu dropped Lola off at her apartment just before sunset. She waved him goodbye, humming to herself as she stepped inside, still wearing her pre-wedding dress. Lola leaned back on her bed, laughing softly as she scrolled through the pictures on her phone. Then it came. The grey ghostly smoke. It slithered out from beneath the wardrobe, crept toward the bed, and rose slowly above her like a spirit. Lola's smile faded. Her eyes widened. The smoke was thick, dark, cold, and silent. Lola tried to scream. Nothing came out. It hovered over her face and pulled not only her breath, but her essence. Her skin began to dry. Her fingers curled stiff. Her lips cracked as her soul was drained into the smoke. When her mother came visiting the next day, she found Lola's body lifeless on the bed. And across town in Stella's room, her blush pellet cracked in two. When the call came that Lola was dead, something inside Stella broke completely. She didn't cry immediately. She sat still for hours, unable to blink, unable to breathe right. Her body trembled as memories flashed. Lola laughing during the shoot, hugging her, calling her a blessing in human form. That night, the tears came like a flood. She wept until her voice cracked, until she had nothing left. But no amount of tears could wash away the pain of losing a close friend. Sleep refused to come, and when her eyes finally closed sometime after 2 a.m., she was awoken by a faint sound. She sat up slowly. It came again, soft, deliberate. Her eyes darted around the room. It wasn't from the door. It was coming from beside her mirror. She stood, confused, her heart thumping. She tiptoed towards it. The sound was clearer now, like a gentle tapping from the inside of something. Then she realized it was coming from her makeup kit. She stared at it for a moment. Maybe it was a rat or her imagination, but her curiosity overpowered her fear. With hands trembling, she slowly opened the box. Nothing, just brushes, palettes, lashes, everything where it should be. She exhaled in relief, turned to walk away. Then her mirror exploded. Shards flew across the room. She screamed and spun around, but before she could move, hands, dark, smoky, shot out from the makeup kit behind her and grabbed her. She screamed louder, reaching for anything, trying to break free, but the hands were strong, cold, wet, and unnatural. They weren't just dragging her into the box, they were pulling out her essence. She felt her body weakening, her skin drying, her lips cracked, her heartbeat slowed. She gasped as her reflection in the broken mirror showed her face wrinkling, aging, hollowing out. "No! Please! Please, she cried, but no help came. Just as the last of her body slipped into the box, she jolted awake, panting, sweating, heart racing. It had been a dream. Stella looked around. Her room was quiet, still, but her makeup kit, now sitting innocently in the corner, had its lid slightly open, and on the mirror, written in faint dust, were the words, "You were next." Stella didn't leave her room for a whole day after the nightmare. She sat curled up, staring at her makeup kit like it was breathing. The memory of those hands pulling her into the box, the shattered mirror, and the words, "You were next," haunted her. It didn't feel like a dream. She needed answers. Her first thought was Madame Duell. After all, she was the one who sent her to Everlight in the first place. Maybe she had seen something like this before. Maybe she knew what to do. She rushed to Linda's makeovers the next morning. "Madame, please, I need to talk to you," Stella said, trembling as she explained everything, starting from room 7 to the death, to the nightmare. But Madame Duell didn't flinch. She stood up, lashes fluttering like angry wings. "Makeup when I don't do for 20 years now. You reach your turn, you carry winch follow body. I better come up for here before you rub your cross everywhere." Stella stood there, shocked. I thought you would understand," she said quietly. "You gave me that job," Madame Duell hissed. "But I not tell you to carry winch follow body. Nonsense. I better carry a wall come up for here, Jerry." Stella was chased out, hurt, confused, and deeply alone. She walked the long road back home with her heart pounding. If even Madame Duell thinks I am cursed, then what am I dealing with? By evening, panic gave way to desperation. She turned to the internet, searching strange terms, haunted brushes, cursed makeup. Most of it felt useless until she found a blog post by a woman called Mama Ifeoluwa, a spiritualist. The words that struck her read, "If you touch death and do not cleanse, death will follow your hands." She dialed the number at the bottom of the page. An old quiet voice answered. "Where did you last use them before discovering all this?" the woman asked. A mortuary, room 7, at Everlight, on a dead woman," Stella replied, her voice barely steady. There was a long pause. "Child, why did you bring the spirits of the dead into your art?" Stella had no answer. With a grave voice, the woman said, "You must bring the box to me before the next one dies." Stella left her house in a hurry that morning, the urgency of her situation driving her forward. She didn't even check the time as she dashed through the door. She was running late, the weight of everything pressing on her chest. She crossed the main road without thinking, her focus solely on the streets ahead. Suddenly, a bike swerved out of nowhere, hitting her hard. The impact threw her to the ground. The world spun for a moment. Her head was dizzy, but her mind screamed for action. People rushed to her side, asking if she was okay, offering to help her up. But Stella knew better than to delay. She gritted her teeth, ignoring the sharp pain shooting up from her twisted ankle. "I am fine," she forced out, pushing herself off the ground. "Don't worry, it's just a small thing." Her ankle throbbed, but she couldn't waste time. The curse, the death, everything that had been happening, she had to stop it. She needed to see Mama Ifeoluwa. She hailed a cab, gritting her teeth as she slid into the back seat, her ankle aching with every movement. The ride felt like it took forever, the air thick with tension. Her thoughts raced, each breath coming faster than the last. Finally, the cab stopped at the entrance of a narrow bush-lined road. "Here," Stella whispered, paying the driver quickly. She limped out, the pain in her ankle making her steps uneven as she walked toward the path that led to Mama Ifeoluwa's home. The road was narrow and lined with thick bush. The air felt heavier with each step Stella took. Her makeup kit, sealed in a black nylon bag, bounced lightly in her hand, its weight far heavier than what was inside. She arrived at a small house. An old woman sat outside, grinding herbs with a stone bowl. Her eyes were milky white, yet her gaze was piercing. "You brought it?" she asked without looking up. Stella nodded and held out the nylon bag. Mama Ifeoluwa took it carefully, opened it, and immediately drew back. This thing don't suck plenty blood though." She laid the kit on the ground, surrounded it with ash, and began chanting. The ground vibrated slightly. The powder containers inside the box began to shake. Then the lid snapped open by itself. A thick black smoke poured out, twisting into the shape of a woman's face. The senator's wife. Her eyes were hollow. Her mouth opened unnaturally wide and released a scream that shook the air. Stella stepped back, trembling. Mama Ifeoluwa didn't flinch. She tossed the red powder into the smoke, and instantly, the face caught fire. With a loud scream, it vanished into the sky, and the air stilled. Stella dropped to her knees, breathless. The woman you touched died with rage in her heart. Mama said she was murdered, poisoned, but she wasn't ready to go. When you touched her face, her anger followed your hands. Stella's eyes welled up. So it's true. I really killed them. You were just a doorway, Mama said gently. She turned to the kit and said firmly, it must be burnt. Stella's heart dropped. Burn it? No, that's all I have. That's my work. How will I eat? How will I even buy another one? Mama Ifeoluwa smiled, the kind of smile only old wise women carry. Don't worry, child. When you let go of the cursed, the blessed will come. God will provide. Tears slipped down Stella's cheeks, her hands trembling as she picked up the kit, stained by death, pain, and fear. She walked slowly to the fire pit Mama had prepared and dropped it in. As the flames consumed the box, black smoke emanated from it and went up into the sky. As weeks passed, the nightmare stopped. No more strange hands, no more whispers, no more mirrors cracking on their own. The silence in Stella's room finally felt like peace, not fear. She spent most days indoors, praying, healing, resting. She didn't touch any brush, didn't attempt any makeup, didn't even wear lip gloss. The trauma still sat in her bones. Then, one morning, while washing clothes in her backyard, her phone rang. It was a number she didn't recognize. Good morning. Am I speaking with Miss Stella Okonkwo? You applied for the media assistant position at Vibe 92.5 FM. Stella froze. Yes, I did. Would like you to come in for an interview this Friday. The call ended and Stella stood still, staring at the phone like it had just whispered grace. That Friday, Stella went for the interview and she eventually got the job. It wasn't glamorous, but it was stable. Good people, good pay. For the first time in months, she had a steady income. No more waiting weeks for one makeup gig. No more clients bargaining like she was selling fish. And after 4 months of saving diligently, she bought herself a new makeup kit, not out of desperation, but out of joy. Slowly, she started again, doing light makeup for colleagues, then birthday gigs on weekends, but this time with caution, with gratitude, with prayer. Things improved, but there was one thing that never went away: the pain in her leg. It started as a dull ache, but as weeks passed, it became sharp and persistent. Despite several treatments, the pain never stopped. It served as a constant reminder of what she brought upon herself, the lives lost, the people who never saw another day because of her touch. She had been careless, and now her body carried the weight of the cost. Stella learned the hard way. She never went near anything strange again, never touched what wasn't hers to touch. She understood now that not every open door is an opportunity. Some are traps, and some jobs, no matter how well paid, are better left undone. The moral of this story is that in the pursuit of survival, don't lose yourself. Money is good, but peace of mind, that one is priceless. If you enjoyed this story and would love to see more interesting stories, please consider subscribing to this channel, not forgetting to turn on your post notification icon so that once another video drops, you will be the first to be notified. You can also check out these videos here. I promise you won't be disappointed. Till we meet again in my next video, remain blessed.